Hey, what's up guys? So in this video, we're going to be talking about the part 2 of becoming a Delta flight attendant. So we left off on the invitation email from Delta where they say, congratulations, we want to fly you down to Atlanta and interview you face to face. So in that congratulatory email, they have a list of dates for you to choose from. It can be as early as a week in advance and all the way down to, I believe, you have 1 to 2 months that you can choose from into the future. So you can get it done super quickly, or you can kind of hold off and choose a date that works best for you. So here's a tip for choosing interview dates. Don't choose one that's so early that you don't feel prepared for the interview. Do as much research as you can on the company, its mission statement, its morals, etc., even the history of Delta. And peruse Glassdoor as much as you can to get as much information possible so you feel ready for the interview. For me personally, I chose 2 weeks in advance, so that gave me enough time to research the company and do all of that good stuff and still feel pretty prepared, feel ready for the interview. Because the thing about Delta Airlines, and like every other company, there are only a certain amount of slots to fill for hiring season. There's this thing called a contingent job offer. It means that if they like you after the interview, they hire you on the spot. So long as you get your training accomplished, you have a job. And so that exists. They can hire you on the spot after the face-to-face interview. So yeah, those slots will fill up and it's going to get harder and harder to get your foot through that door and get hired fairly quickly. So yeah, if you really want this, I highly recommend choosing an earlier date rather than a later date, or as early as you can do, reasonably speaking, of course. Now, once you choose that date, they'll book a ticket for you, they'll send it through your email and give you a round trip so you can fly to Atlanta and back to the city that you were in or flying out of. So the travel's free, and I've actually heard stories where there were these candidates who were accepted for this face-to-face interview. They booked a flight down to Atlanta and never showed up for their interview. So they just used that free ticket to Atlanta to go there and then back to their home city, their home airport, and just enjoyed Atlanta for the day for free. And it's like, why go through all of that work when you'd have a career where you can travel all you want for free? So I just found it really funny. So anyway, yes, you choose a date and then Delta Airlines books that round trip flight for you. So you fly down the evening before and they put you up in a hotel. For me, it was La Quinta. So once I got to La Quinta, which is by the airport, I checked in. I said, I'm with Delta Airlines, this is my name, and they checked me in. So there were a group of guys in the lobby and they said, oh, wait, you're with Delta? Did you get our message for that group chat on Facebook? I said, no, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh, I thought we got everyone. We're gonna have dinner across the street at the steakhouse. Do you wanna come? So of course I said yes, because who wants to eat dinner in a hotel room alone, right? So we go to the steakhouse and I look around and it's all guys. So we sit down, we all start talking about, our lives, where we're from, da-da-da-da-da. And then one person at the table said, so Cassandra, what made you want to be a pilot? Oh my god. So I'm just like, oh, I'm here for the flight attendant interview. And yeah, they were super nice. They were very kind, very decent people. And we never saw each other again. And it was a really nice experience. So the next morning at La Quinta, I woke up super early. I reviewed my interview questions and, dressed up super nice, wore an ascot again, wore a pantsuit, had my hair back to look like a flight attendant. So I walked down to the lobby and there was free breakfast. There were a couple other girls, but not that many. So Delta, they put you up in different hotels. So I just happened to be in La Quinta, but they also put other candidates at other hotels. So we're all in different hotels. And then there's this airport shuttle that takes us from La Quinta and we go to Delta headquarters, which isn't too far away. Now for me, I asked the concierge to keep my suitcase because I didn't think that I could take it with me. So they were fine doing that for me, kind of hiding it in the closet. But you actually can take your suitcase with you. There's a place for you to store your stuff. So yeah, when you get on the shuttle, feel free to pack up your stuff. Feel free to take it with you because after the interview is over, you're shuttled straight to the airport if you so wish. So I got on the shuttle. More and more girls ended up piling up as we went along, and finally we got to Delta headquarters. So I arrived about a half an hour early, and I was in the waiting room with a bunch of these girls. I started talking to this one girl, and she was so sweet, and she actually confided in me that she aspires to be a pilot as well. And so I said, no way. So we were there by 7:30, and we just waited, and more girls pile up from different shuttles. And finally, a little after 8, the chief officer, I guess you could call her, of all the flight attendants walks in and greets us and says, "Follow me," and everyone follows her into this big open room with all of these other rooms on the side. So it's like a huge rotunda. There's like a projector, a bunch of couches. And as you walk in, you see a ton of these people called flight service managers. They're managers for flight attendants, and they're a part of the hiring process. So they are lining the walls, and they're just observing us, sizing us up, looking at our body language. And so that's a really important thing to pay attention to. They're always watching you. So I have my friend with me, and we are buddy, not leaving each other's side, super excited and nervous. And we just keep on smiling, keep on being nice to everybody. And that's the thing that they want to see. They want to see you resemble a Delta flight attendant. They want to see that you're already a finished product. So just keep on smiling, keep on socializing, emulate what you think a flight attendant would be. So the chief officer, she walks in, she invites us to sit down in the chairs within this rotunda. And so she tells us not to be nervous, to just relax. And of course, easier said than done. But yes, so she was great. And then she plays a little clip about Delta Airlines on the projector. Once it's over, she explains what's going to happen. So we're going to be broken up into groups of 4, and there are different stations within this process. So they'll call group 1, group 2, group 3, and group 4, and they'll tell us where to go. And meanwhile, while all this is happening, those FSMs are still lining the walls. A couple of them are getting ready to switch into these stations that we're going to go into pretty soon. So my new friend and I, we got broken up. And so the first thing for me was actually the face-to-face interview. So this really awesome woman, she says my name and invites me to go into this small soundproof room. And so from this rotunda, there are rooms off of the rotunda. So we go into one of those rooms, and in that room is a couch and 2 seats. On the couch there's a guy transcribing everything, so writing down everything that we say to each other. And yeah, she's just very warm and inviting, tells me not to be nervous. And so we just proceed with the interview questions. So all the questions that I was asked, they were on Glassdoor. So all that preparation really worked out. After the interview was over, I was invited to go back into the rotunda and just chill until our rotation happened, and we went on to the next station. Whew, got that out of the way. Now a few more to go. So for our next station, we were invited to go into this bigger room where we were split into even smaller groups. We were given a time limit to read this piece of paper, and it was just a scenario. So just picturing that you're a flight attendant, you had all these items individually, and we had to put it together and organize it on the cart together. So it was like a team building exercise, and it was also about logistics. So seeing how well you work together, if you contribute. And so for me personally, I'm not someone who likes to insert myself into situations. I'm usually someone who just sits back and observes. So once that time limit was up, the FSMs who were in charge of this station, they went one by one within our group and asked us questions like, hey, how did you contribute? Or what did you do that you found interesting when you were organizing the cart, or something like that. But yeah, as long as you contribute even just a sentence during this whole time, That's all you really need. And think of a takeaway for it. Think of how you contributed. Think about yourself if you're not someone who likes to insert yourself in a situation. If you're an observer, then remember that for yourself. And remember that you don't always have to be in, because if everyone were always trying to be so hands-on, there wouldn't be people who could step back and maybe see something a little differently. So that's just a little tip for you if you're not someone who's super outgoing. So we finished that station pretty quickly, and so we got to sit down on these chairs, and while we were waiting for the rotation to happen, some of the FSMs asked us to go around and talk about why we wanted to become flight attendants. The girl before me was talking about how her family's from China and how she misses them terribly, and I think maybe she was just really nervous, and she started crying, and so we were all just consoling her, and it was really sad. And I know it can be hard if your family's really far away, if you're really close to your family, but if you're looking to be a flight attendant, I don't think that that would be the best job for you, because you're always traveling and you're never going to be around very often with your family. You're always going to be traveling, and FaceTime is great, but if you aren't satisfied with that type of compromise, then unfortunately I don't think this job is for you. But if you're someone who says, yeah, totally, that's no problem, I can compromise, I can do FaceTime, not an issue, then definitely go for it. So yeah, I mean, we all consoled her and asked if she was okay, and she was okay. It was just the stress of it and the nerves and everything. You know how emotions come out when you start talking about things when you're nervous. So yeah, she was all right throughout the rest of the time. So the next station was a Q&A. So a little bit more relaxed, but since we're still being observed by these FSMs, I knew that I had to contribute. So even though I'm someone who's more of a fly on the wall, I knew that I had to do something, I had to say something. So for the questions, I asked a question that didn't so much have to do with the operation itself. Some people would say, like, what's the pay like? What are the bases? Da 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 da. But for me, I asked something along the lines of, what's your favorite thing about being a flight attendant? Something like that. So it was more personal, it was more getting to know the person as the flight attendant, showing that compassion, like I care about them, because we're going to figure out the pay when it comes down to it. You can even look online. We can figure out the bases, so we're not going to be able to find answers about what you love the most about something. We're not going to get answers for experiences that people have had, right? So getting to know the person, I think, is personally more valuable than just baseline questions like that. And so the final station was just a break station. So we had those flight attendant carts, right? And it had sodas in there. It had snacks like the Biscoff cookies and the pretzels. So yeah, so that was our snack, and we just got to relax. Well, kind of. We were still being observed, so it was important to still be social, still talk to each other, still keep on smiling, don't stop smiling. And yeah, that was pretty much it. So finally, when everyone was finished with their stations, we reconvened in the rotunda, and the chief officer of the flight attendants came back to the center. She said, thank you so much for flying down here and interviewing with us. We've had such a great time getting to know you guys, and yeah, we'll definitely contact you soon about whether we've decided to hire you or we should go our separate ways. So I was finally back on the couch with my gal friend whom I met, that fellow pilot, and so we were just hanging out, and the chief officer said, but before you go, can da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. They rattled off 12 names, including myself and the girl whom I've made friends with. So they called our names to hang back because there was some reason. I forget what excuse they gave, but they told us to just hang back. But finally, when everyone was gone, all 60-some candidates had left, so it was only us. The girlfriend and I looked at each other like, oh my god, what is going on? The chief officer said, congratulations, we'd like to offer you a contingent job offer. So you are officially hired with Delta Airlines. We'd like to invite you to training. in Atlanta for the next 2 months. How does that sound? And oh my gosh, we were so excited. We couldn't believe it. So we're just so happy and just like in awe, you know? So we all, of course, said yes. And we moved to this big room with a huge table, and we were all just talking, getting to know each other, over the moon, so happy. And they gave us a bunch of paperwork to sign. So honestly, that took about an hour. They had to do a background check on us, so we had to like sign some papers for that. And then they said, okay, so now hopefully you guys have to pee because you're going to be doing a drug test on the spot. And so, you know, we did the drug test, and after all the paperwork was signed, we went on our merry way. So we all said goodbye to each other. I got off the shuttle at La Quinta to get my luggage, then I hopped on another shuttle to go to the airport and fly back from Atlanta back to Philadelphia, and that was it. So again, just like the online interview, hearing back from them, sometimes it takes a while to hear back from them with the face-to-face interview. So it could take a week, a month. I've even heard sometimes they've gotten back to candidates after a year. One of my friends actually heard back after a year, and he was so happy, but he was thinking, what took so long? The whole interview process, that took about from 8 o'clock, 8 in the morning, until 12, so noon. So yeah, it was about 4 hours, and yeah, then you just fly back. So yeah, that's it, guys. If you have any questions or anything you're curious about at all, feel free to comment below and I'd be happy to answer your questions. If you're curious about the whole training process where Delta flies you down to Atlanta for those 2 months, I'm happy to talk about that for you guys, kind of what to expect, what really goes on in training. If you'd like to know anything about the lifestyle of being a Delta flight attendant on the line at all, I'm happy to answer any of those questions. So thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!